If times came a colored, the 90s would surely be green. Because green is the color which is correct socially, morally, politically, and economically. Now, this may mean different things to different people, but to mere mortals, it means definite confusion, as they observe eco or green becoming a prefix adorning almost everything, from development to feminism, and from peace to war. In fact, one's green antecedents these days have to be worn not lightly, but quite literally on one's sleeve, in pure natural fibers, preferably raw. Haute Couture having rediscovered eternal inspiration in that original fashion statement, the fig leaf. Even food is best when served raw, sans chemicals and additives, grown organically, served just as Mother Earth would. Though mind you, it may be eaten in the lap of luxury, in a green resort or a mud hut, a farmhouse or even a tree house, anywhere as long as it's not in a boring concrete structure. Industry, business, academia, the corporate sector, all seem to be vying with each other to look and sound greener. The result? Hoardings at crossroads, saplings along busy thoroughways, sponsorship of green events, messages and advertisements. All this while forests continue to be axed ad nauseum to serve the basic needs of a few, and global warming continues to be debated heatedly in air-conditioned comfort. What exactly is it then? A passing fad? An innocuous fancy? Or is it something deeper? A sense of déjà vu, primal instincts coming to the fore? Or then maybe it's just the earth desperately seeking a reprieve. So come along, cruise through this maze with us as we try to find the answers.
बीस 25 साल पहले का अहमदाबाद। MF हुसैन सरसपुर हवेली से पैदल चलता शाहीबाग अपने दोस्त गुणवंत से मिलने गया। आलीशान मकान, दोषी आर्किटेक्ट। वहां आर्टिस्ट और आर्किटेक्ट की मुठभेड़। नतीजा, हुसैन दोषी गुफा। बात चली घर से, रुकी घोंसले पर, लेकिन बनी गुफा। ऐसी गुफा जिससे अजंता एलोरा की याद, ताजमहल का रूप, फतेहपुर सीकरी की काया और गोपुरम का खामोश घंटनाद। नवरंग भूमि से उभरे 17 ज्योतिर्लिंग। जमीन रोशन हुई, परछाइयों का नाटक रचा। मृदंग और तबले का खोलतना, बिरजू महाराज की त्रितद्धा पे खन का ब्रह्मनाद गुफा की दीवारों में समा गया। अगर तुम कुछ देर अंदर बैठ सको तो जीवन का जल तरंग सुनाई नहीं, दिखाई देगा।
If you sit here for a long time, you will discover that the sun has moved, the shadows have moved, the light has changed. In monsoon, when you know the clouds have come in the sky. Now, this is a part of a good building, that we are inside and yet outside. So you have to be inside and outside. This building tells you about form and nature, as if it's a forest, but also you see the bellies of animals. You're outside and you feel it's a prehistoric animal of some kind. Then when you are here and when you see the rhythms and when you wait and watch, silence not only begins to tell you, but your own memories come back.
When an architect and an artist collaborate to visualize space, the synthesis is bound to be well, unusual. And this is so true for the Doshi Hussain Gufa in Ahmedabad. Though it seems to be ideally suited as a comfortable cocoon to watch the world go by, it is meant to be a reading room, an avenue for workshops and seminars, a place for movement and exchange of ideas, thoughts, and views. However, the structure itself is also unique.
First of all, this building is part and parcel of the ground. It's buried, into the earth. Second one is that it has the same configuration as the natural configuration. That means, it doesn't have hard edges. It moves smoothly. Third one is that when you see the trees, when you see the landscape, it merges very easily. You can even say that it has very close images to the clouds, to the animals, to plants, to flowers. One could talk them as metaphors. The second one is that if you look at the materials which are used here, they are minimum materials, very thin structure. The structure is made out of, the only thing is ferrocement, otherwise it's cement mortar. The other one is again, these are all waste products. So everything has been used from what is available, what is common. Though it is designed on computer, the tribal people have worked on this, which means that we are now linking the present with the one, which we say not past but not known. This is the portico.
Architecture, according to Balkishan Doshi, is a comprehensive understanding of life. The genesis of a building ought not to be held ransom only to this query. What is its function?
Okay. So I now believe that a building must have a dialogue to start with. So the building is not dead, it is like a living animal. It's like touching a cow. In contemporary terms, a car. Car is very close to us because it is an extension of us. But building is still not close to us. We are living there and coming out. It could be a tomb if we are dead. So our buildings are not alive because they have not been thought that way. So we put paintings, we put sculptures, we paint it, we put bedspreads, we try to create that ethnic or association qualities to the building which is already made with walls. But actually if we think as architecture as pure experience, total experience, like eating a fruit, that when you eat a mango or any fruit, ananas or whatnot, the essence is only felt afterwards. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have the texture or the form or the color or the rationality or the sense of growth. It is all measurable, but there is something beyond measurable. And I think this is what I'm trying to do. If I was designing a house for you or for anybody, if I participated so much without the ego of an architect, then I'm sure you would get the right house and I would get the best pleasure of doing a building. Definition of architecture as a highly specialized esoteric act is not true. Our tradition doesn't say so. All our great buildings don't say. When you go and see the great palaces of Rajasthan or temples or small houses even in the Pole or in Delhi Mohalla, you find that everybody likes them. A professor likes it, a scientist likes it, a bania likes it, and hawker likes it. Now why they like? Because there is something for everybody to look at, appreciate, because underneath that there is a hint of the life that is going on. We were before expansive. We thought of the whole cosmos as us and ourselves in the cosmos, or vice versa, like Brahman is within me and whatnot, and there was an equanimity of everything, so we didn't want to hurt anything. Then we came to the other extreme saying that monetary result and the gain is the primary, the rest is of no consequence. So we became very, very narrow. Now we are gradually expanding and trying to say no, nature, ecosystem, behavior, people's stresses and strains, their families are also part of us. So building now is becoming also not an isolated object. It is becoming an object within the context. A house is a part of the street, street is a part of a mohalla, mohalla is a part of the whole city. So what now we call it, that house is a smaller city and a city is a bigger house.
The Doshi Hussain Gufa is a culmination of such a philosophy of life and of work, where architecture goes beyond mere construction. It respects its environment. It endeavors to conserve energy. flows with the landscape, not against it, and is also a piece of art. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. And therein lie our roots and live our ancestors. Remember Darwin's theory of evolution? Something we all learned, but probably forgot in school. However, in this story, we introduce you to someone who not only did not forget, but when he decided to return to his roots, did so quite literally. And so, unlike other industrialists who build mansions and temples, Giri Sanghi built a tree house.
I wanted to be more close towards nature and trees and greenery. That developed into this tree house. We got it made by some good artisans from south. And it's a lovely place, and I love to stay here with my family.
This exotic weekend retreat is built upon 2 huge neem trees, a little away from the main house. It has been built with natural materials available locally by local artisans. A house built upon a tree it may be, but it has all the trappings of a luxurious life. Surely, what better example could one find of architecture at peace with its environment? The same stream of life that runs through my veins runs through the world and dances through rhythmic measures. Is it beyond thee to be glad with the gladness of this rhythm? To be tossed and lost and broken in the whirl of this fearful joy? All things rush on, they stop not, they look not behind. No power can hold them back, they rush on. Keeping steps with that restless, rapid music, seasons come dancing and pass away. Colors, tunes and perfumes pour in endless cascades in the abounding joy that scatters and gives up and dies every moment. The cosmic rhythms, as described by Rabindranath Tagore in the Gitanjali. While these concepts of cosmic rhythms and seasons are an inherent and integral part of the language of mankind, it is only now that music companies seem to have hit upon them as a gold mine.
I think it's primarily because the whole subject of music and nature, and not just music and nature, I think art and nature are so closely interwoven in India, you know, whether it's from the folk stream, the classical stream. Whether you think of sculpture, you think of painting, or you think of music. I mean, even the notes of our classical music are supposed to come from sounds in nature. Even in our poetry, we're very conscious of nature, the forces of nature, the trees, the birds, the animals, natural phenomena like clouds. And in seasons, you know that monsoon is probably the most beloved season in this country, from north to south and east to west.
ऋतु पावस बरसे पीऊ पावा ऋतु पावस बरसे पीऊ पावा सावर भादो अधिक सुहावा ऋतु पावस बरसे बरसे शीतल बूंद ऊंच चवारा हरियर सब देखिए संसारा हरियर भूमि कुसुम भी चोला पिय संगम रचा हिंडोला ऋतु पावस बरसे पीऊ पावा ऋतु पावस बरसे बरसे
I think to a certain extent we're all nostalgic for, especially as the pressures of urbanization take their toll on us. We are all to larger and lesser degrees nostalgic for what the wide open spaces represent, for what the beauties of nature represent. We all have memories of unforgettable, you know, whether it's a moonlit night, a monsoon afternoon. We do have those memories.
Call it what you may. Collective psyche, race memories, universal language. Nobody seems to be complaining as more and more albums hit the stands celebrating nature, its rhythms and its songs.
ऋतु हेमंत मंगली बिरिया ऋतु हेमंत मंगली बिरिया मोहन भोग जवत पिय प्यारी बहुविध मेवा मिलो के
For eons, birds of a feather have flocked together. But in Noornad, a small hamlet in Kerala, this bird exercise has become, to say the least, a bone of contention. Local residents have locked horns with the authorities to save some giant fruit trees from being felled.
For more than 15 years, birds have been coming. But it is only now that problems have come up. There is even talk of trees being cut. In fact, firecrackers are lit beneath them to scare the birds away. And all this is happening to suit a few vested interests. These vested interests are so stubborn, and they have managed to persuade the authorities that these trees need to be cut. They have misguided the authorities.
These trees are home to numerous endangered species of migratory birds. They not only provide a safe haven because of their enormous height, but also easy access to an abundant supply of fish. However, about 2 years ago, this unobtrusive annual sojourn became the focus of acrimonious debate.
The only way to solve this controversy is by certifying the tree's health. We have requested the relevant authorities to send a plant pathologist to certify the tree's health and also give other relevant data. See, all these trees are 200-300 years old, and because our shop is so near them, we know that some are decayed. In fact, each time a strong wind blows, all of us who work inside this building rush out to the other side of the road, fearing for our lives. Just because the birds' droppings spoil their business, these vested interests will go to any length to pressurize the authorities. They've even sent false photographs to the authorities. They took pictures of a decayed tree and passed them off as being pictures of this tree. They're very stubborn.
While the controversy below continues to blow hot, blow cold, our winged friends do not seem to be unduly perturbed. Perhaps they know that the citizens of Noornad have, on their behalf, taken their battle not only to the Chief Minister's office and Ministry of Environment, New Delhi, but have also succeeded in obtaining protection of their residential rights.